Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show that promises not to include any more gratuitous jump scares, unless that's just what I want you to think, so I can lull you into a false sense of security and scare you again.
You will give me more jump scares.
I wouldn't do that. I'll just let the uncertainty of whether a jump scare is going to happen or not drive you insane for the rest of this episode.
I will not go insane. There will be a jump scare there. I hate the marionette.
You know what else I love?
Yeah, same. I haven't played, I haven't played FNAF, at all. I haven't.
Okay, well,
because I did not have a PC before.
No,
so
what I appreciate about
I've never played the game at all.
Every element
so maybe if ever I don't know, if it's Halloween, then next year, thank God.
Definitely done something right.
Then maybe I'll play it. I'll play it for the very first time. Because I haven't actually played it.
Anyway, the point is, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 looks to be everything you'd want in a sequel. More cameras, more danger, and more fan.
No more fan.
But
no
that
more
also
fan.
Comes with more
Granted, I need more fans.
Questions
it's hot
about
here.
the game's lore. And
well, it's not hot,
but
it's
you
just
with the
hot.
jump scares.
I
provide you with what everyone really wants: answers. Well, maybe not everyone. What an elite, educated subset of you really want: answers. So
yes,
grab
I do want more answers. Give me that slice of pizza.
Because we're about to dig in. Ugh.
You have opened Pandora's box for that statement. What do you mean?
Let's get the big one out of the way first. Is the game a sequel or a prequel sequel? And what I mean by that is,
oh my god, I was so confused at the time.
Slapped next to the
I was so confused at the time of whether it was technically a sequel, because wasn't the toy animatronics
but it tells
more advanced than the first ever animatronics that we did have in the first game? But apparently it's technically a prequel sequel.
Godfather Part 2.
Yeah.
All of them sequels.
I was very surprised that it was actually a prequel.
It's not mutually exclusive. So where's Five Nights at Freddy's 2 fit in? Knowing its place in the timeline is crucial for understanding its story. Well, to figure that out, let's focus on the paycheck you receive at the end of your 5th night. The date places the events of the game in 1987, a whole 6 years ahead of when we determined the first game took place in our first video. Sounds like a prequel, but we found that date in the first game by calculating Mike Schmidt's hourly pay and comparing that to the minimum wage of the 90s. If Scott Coffin, the game's developer, is just picking random numbers for the payments, this bit of evidence would be meaningless. Except that he's not. At the end of Five Nights 2, you get paid $100.50.
$100?
Divide that by the 30 hours worked, and you get $3.35 an hour. The exact minimum wage for 1987, which means that us using minimum wage...
Is that the bite of 87?
The year of Five Nights 1 is...
This is the bite of 87!
To prove it, and
this video was the bite of 87!
After the events of Five Nights 2. Still don't believe me?
I forgot that it was technically from
extra night 6
the second
rewarded
game.
With a bonus check and a newspaper clipping that says the toy robots are getting scrapped.
2020.
Are going into storage for a new, smaller
2020
version of the restaurant. That would explain why the old models reappear.
Yeah, I was so confused because
and notice
with how advanced the toy animatronics were, I thought it was actually a proper sequel and not a prequel
smaller than the setting of Five Nights.
But I mean, I don't mind.
More evidence? What about the fact that on the first night in the office, the phone guy explains that the robots used to walk around during the day, just like they do in Five Nights 2, but not anymore. Or the fact that phone guy dies in the first game, making it hard for him to also be the phone guy in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 if it takes place after. Call me the Phantom Menace, cause every way to Sunday, this game is a prequel.
A
so
prequel!
With that revelation out of the way, we're able to piece together the rest of the timeline and dig a little bit deeper.
Oh my god, I can't wait for the next few videos that it's going to show how convoluted the timeline is. There is he tries to explain it in one line of all the timelines, but it's fucking impossible.
How it was left to rot. So
I haven't watched all of
these one for the second
these
game,
videos,
and one that came before both of them that
so
we've never seen.
Yeah.
But even before that,
Yeah, damn it.
the phone guy also mentions an
such
even older restaurant called Fredbear's Family Diner, which, aside from its confusingly different name, also had different owners. So let me recap. There's the restaurant from the first game, which is the last in the timeline. The one that you're currently working at in 1987
that's a lie.
in Five Nights
That's not the last of the timeline. Oh boy, MatPat, you are gonna have a fun time in the next few videos that we're gonna watch.
Original Fredbear's Diner. Jeez, I hope you're still with me because this is more complicated than the Zelda timeline. Anyway, it's at this first location, the diner, where the whole story begins. Submitted for the approval of the Game Theorist Society, this is the true tale of Five Nights at Freddy's. When you die in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, before you've even gotten over the jump scare, you sometimes get a screen like this. Oh, turn it off! Turn it off! It's too horrifying. That, youngsters, was E.T. for the Atari.
I've never played an Atari.
Before the NES.
Never gotten
yes, around the same time as the dinosaurs. It's widely
I
considered
only got a
to
family
be the
computer.
worst game of all time.
That and
hence
a Game
me
Boy.
reacting in a horrifying manner. See,
PSP
humor, folks. But
and the
seriously, you
Nintendo
get these
DS.
disturbing
Those
death
are the only
minigames
consoles
which,
I had
true to the
before.
1987 setting,
PlayStation
use
2.
Atari-esque
PlayStation
graphics
1
to
as well.
depict various horrific events. All the while, a creepy, robotic voice spells out letter by letter things like,
Where is
them,
Zeus? I'm
save
here.
them, or
I'm
save
here.
him. These death
I just
minigames
grew a
are
mustache.
the most important
I want to
piece
be
in
manly,
figuring out
okay?
the true
Because
story behind
I'm not
these
scared
games.
of this
Let's
game.
start with this one. This
I
death
am-
minigame has you playing as
I
Freddy,
have a manly
taking cake to
beard.
screaming children at a
That
birthday
means I can
party.
never be
As
scared.
Freddy rushes
I'm
around
courageous.
trying to keep the
I
whole
am
party
brave.
happy, a single sad child looks on from outside. When suddenly you're powerless to do anything but look on in abject horror
Oh, wait, I
as
just
a
snapped
purple
my
man
neck. I don't know
pulls
if
up
you
in a
guys
car,
heard that.
murders the child, and drives off. It's my belief,
Okay, we'll
loyal
get you a
theorists,
beard
that
next.
this
Yes.
game takes
Please do
place
give me a
at
beard next
Fredbear's
time.
Diner, and
'Cause
is
I
chronologically
am
the
brave.
first event that
I
we
will
see
never
in this
get
timeline.
scared.
How do I know? Well, it's a small establishment, and there's only
Oh
one
no,
animatronic,
crying.
Freddy,
Well,
as opposed to
I
all
mean,
the other
that's
games
a
which
crying
show
child,
other
but
robots.
that's
but
not
more
technically
importantly,
the
this
crying
murdered
child.
child is the one that sets everything into motion. One of the new tasks added to Five Nights
Wait,
at
you are
Freddy's 2
Zeus.
is
Is
winding a
this
mysterious
pretty-
music box
No.
that we're told placates one of the
am
animatronics.
Zeus, yes.
If you fail to
You
wind the
watching,
music
my ma'am?
box,
Yes,
what you're
we are
introduced to
watching
is
MatPat.
this terrifying thing.
We are watching the
puppet
iconic
looks like
man
No-Face
himself.
from Spirited Away.
Because I
You know what
want
else
to
he looks
understand
like?
more
Take
of
a
the
look at
FNAF
murdered
theory from
child.
scratch.
See how his tear tracks remain visible on his face, even after he's dead? If we assume that they'll continue
I love
to
how
stay
he-
with him into the
I love how he
afterlife,
said
we
it.
can make a pretty good
I
case
know this
that
is like the
this
past,
kid's
but,
murdered
like,
spirit
the
eventually
idea,
found
like,
its way into the puppet
this child that
animatronic. But
died
that's
is
not
technically
all.
a girl,
What
from
jump
what I
scare
remember,
happens
and her name
after
is
this
Charlie.
Save Him minigame? After seeing this tear-stained child's murder reenacted in 8-bit, the puppet jumps out of the screen and attacks you. Coincidence?
The puppet
I
is
don't
so
think so.
uncanny.
That incident
It's
marks
so
the first
uncanny.
time the chain is ever
I think the
associated
first time I
with
saw
a
them
violent
was
act
when they
carried
were at,
out
like,
against a
the
child.
gifting
And we can
area,
infer
right?
that
They
it
were
was
just
this
standing
incident
there.
that caused the
That was
original
crazy.
owners of
They were
Fredbear's
just staring.
Diner to sell off
How
to the
can no
company now
kid be
known as
scared of that?
Fazbear
I would be scared of
Entertainment.
that.
Now,
I
I
remember
don't know
being scared
about
of
you, but if I was
clouds.
senselessly murdered and left to haunt a crappy pizza place for the rest of my life in the body of an awful-looking clown doll,
My
I'd
God,
want to
that
get my
PNG of
revenge
him
as
is
soon
so
as
old.
possible. Unfortunately for our vengeful puppet, though, it doesn't quite turn out that way. Fast forward a few years to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, the first location, the one that has yet to appear in a game. This new restaurant is the one we learned about in my earlier episode.
Isn't that
and
the one that
throughout the
shut
first
down as
game,
well,
where
and
our
we
pal
got
the
to
murderer uses a
sister
golden Freddy
location?
suit to lure away and kill
Could be
5
wrong.
children in the back room. As we read through the various articles on the wall, he gets caught the next day, but the bodies are never found, presumably because they've been stuffed into the animatronic suits. The restaurant stays open for a few months until the dead body stink starts to
doesn't
waft
make
off
sense
the
is that,
robots
like,
and causes the place
he
to get
did-
shut down for health
did
reasons.
got- he
But
did
how
get
do we
caught.
know this happened in
But
the
how
first
did he
pizzeria's
get-
location?
get out?
Again, we turn to
Or-
what the phone guy
No, he
says.
didn't get out, did
On
he?
night
He
2
died.
of Five Nights 2, he
He got caught
mentions
the
the
first
smell
time.
coming
So
from
how
the
did he
old
technically
animatronics,
get out
the smell
to
that
go
got the
and have a
original
killing
restaurant
spree again?
shut down. We also know that after
Ah.
the Golden Freddy incident, it took multiple months for the restaurant
My
to
brain
get
is
shut
not
down.
draining.
That couldn't
It is
have
not-
happened
it
in
is
the
not
restaurant of
connecting the
Five
dots.
Nights at
I
Freddy's
don't
2,
connect
which is
shit.
shut down on
You
night
get that
6
reference, then
and into the foreseeable
congratulations.
future. But outside of these lore clues, it also makes logical sense. Before the Golden Freddy
No, it's
murders,
2010.
there was
I thought it
one
was
dead
2020.
child whose
I'm
tear-stained
blind.
soul existed in the form of the puppet. But now
He was
there are
released
5
because
more
of
dead
a
children,
lack of
and
that.
thanks to another of the death minigames, we find out exactly what happened to them. In the Help Them minigame, the puppet stuffs the dead children
FNAF
into the
word, one
robotic
sentence.
suits,
This-
giving their souls
this
new
fucker
life,
came- yeah, that-
and
yeah.
preps them for their eternal mission
I mean, he did say that he always comes back.
There are only
in the
4
movie.
dead children in that
So you
game.
know.
To which I tell you, look closer if you dare. For the frame right before Golden Freddy's head jumps out and attacks features the lost fifth
I would have
dead
never
child.
got that.
And what
If I played the
started
game
as a haunted
and I had
puppet
to like
has
rewatch
suddenly
the
become an
footage, I
army
would
of
have never
possessed
gotten that.
animatronics
I would
out
definitely.
for
I
revenge.
mean, I would have.
But wait,
I would
that's
have
not all
maybe,
we
but if I
know.
accidentally.
We also know the murder
If I was like
committed by the
rewatching my VODs
same
and
guy
checking
who
some
killed the
things here and there,
first
maybe, like, someone
child.
said, like, did you
How?
see the
Look at
fifth
the
child
Foxy
in
death
that? I would, like,
minigame.
okay.
Twice, Foxy
I would
runs
probably
out to
slow it
meet
down
the kids, but
so
the
much
third
so I
time
can
we
see
see the tall
the
purple
thing,
man
yeah.
again, smiling. Foxy goes into the other room to find 5 dead children. The man in purple strikes again. Skip ahead to
Purple
1987,
guy.
finally bringing us to the events of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The old animatronics have been retired, and the cute new versions of all our favorite friends come equipped with facial recognition software that
Yeah,
just
the
so
toy
happens to be
animatronics
connected
are,
to a
like,
sex offender
weird. They're
database.
very
Seems
weird
like an
looking.
oddly specific detail,
I
right?
would say
Until you consider
the
that the
original
last
models look
restaurant was
way
closed
more
for having
better
children
for me.
get kidnapped and killed by an employee. It's a safety measure. You see how it all ties together? So you have some animatronics possessed by vengeful spirits and another batch on the prowl for predators. But that doesn't stop our friend the Purple Man
Yeah, look
from
at it. Look at how,
continuing his
like,
life's
weird
work
they
of
look.
murdering children.
Maybe
at
because
Freddy Fazbear's
they don't like
Pizza.
plastic
As we learn from the
things.
phone guy on
Could be
nights
wrong.
4 through 6, the new
Yeah,
restaurant is
someone could like
once
it. I
again
just don't
under
like it for me.
investigation as, well, I'll let him explain.
Hello. What on earth are you doing there? Didn't you get the memo? The place is closed down, at least for a while. Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right.
The Golden Freddy Killer struck again.
The Bonnie
final
suit.
death minigame
The Golden
also
Bonnie
supports
suit.
this. You, as Freddy, must walk through an exact replica of the building.
The games are so
Animatronics
confusing
all in their
story-wise,
proper
'cause I think
places,
you get the
seeing
lore
the 5 dead
of,
children spread out
I
through the
think-
various rooms. And
I
based
think
on what
William
Phone Guy says,
dying
it seems
on
like the guilty
the
party
third
was the
game,
former night guard, the one who moved
then,
to
like,
day
the
shift, and the
timeline
one your
is a bit,
character
like,
replaced. I mean,
the
Phone
fucking
Guy
guy.
makes plenty of uncomfortable
We'll
references
get there
to
eventually. My
suddenly
brain is
having
not braining
an
right now.
available position during the day.
When we get it all sorted out, we may move you to the day shift. A position just became available. We don't have a replacement for your shift yet, but we're working on it.
But is
Please
the
get me
Purple
out of
Man
here.
really someone we've
I
never
do
met,
not want to be
who's
here on
only
the 5th or
worked
6th
there
night
a
anymore.
week?
Please,
Or is it
I
someone
need
we
to be on the day
trust?
shift.
Someone with a
please.
long history with these characters. Someone no
But then the
one
bite of
would
87
suspect.
happened,
The
so-
head guard. The
Yeah.
one forced to fill empty positions.
bite
and
of
teach new
87 happened.
recruits by leaving them instructions.
Isn't that
over
technically the lore of
phone.
the
Is
like
Purple
you technically
Man
do get
the
promoted to
phone
go to the
guy?
day shift?
Ask yourself this: what
And
do
then
we
you got
really
bitten
know about Phone Guy?
by
Let's look
Mangle?
at what he says. First,
Question
he
mark?
always speaks like an outsider
that's
looking
that-
in.
yeah, that's the
he
bite-
refers
no, that's
to
not
the
the bite of
management of the
87.
company as
The bite of
they.
87
so
was,
he's not higher up like
no.
the CEO or even a manager.
No, there's
but
a
he's
93.
also
That's the
not
bite
a
of-
typical day
there's a
worker, as he
93
says
and an
things like
87.
the
I'm mixing up two
employees
numbers
and
now.
the staff. So he works
Y'all
there,
are-
but
oh,
isn't
thank
generally considered a regular member of the company.
could smite
We
them, no
also know that
problem.
he's
That is
qualified
true.
to take the role of a
That
night
is true.
guard.
If I was
As
ever,
we learn, he
if I was
plans to take
ever
over
a
the
night
position
guard here, I
sometime
would've
after night
just made
6,
sure that
and
they're
is
not
on his way
working right.
out of the position by the time
And I
the
would
first
leave
game starts.
immediately.
For now,
I'm not going
make it
back
through
the
the
next
night.
day.
Uh,
I would
when
file
the
a
place eventually
complaint
opens again, I'll probably
and
take
say
the night
that this
shift
place
myself.
is fucking haunted. Decommission
I
every
actually
one of that
worked
thing
in
and
that
break
office
the building.
I'm finishing
Demolish
up my
that
last
building.
week now, as a
Never
matter of
bring it
fact.
back.
What else do we know? Well, we know that the Phone Guy has a long history with the company, being with it at least since the first pizzeria that we haven't played in. He also openly admits that Foxy the Pirate was always his favorite, and
Oh
that
my
he
God,
has
the
never
days
liked the
when-
puppet because,
The
as
days
he
when
says,
Phone
he
Guy
was
was
always
Purple Guy.
thinking.
I
Oh.
told you you wouldn't have any problems. Did Foxy ever appear in the hallway? Probably not. I was just curious. Like I said, he was always my favorite. I'll be honest, I never liked that puppet thing. It's always thinking, and it can go anywhere.
Okay.
I mean,
but
there
what do
was
we
a
know about
connection,
the
so I
purple
guess
guy,
this
the
wasn't
Golden
that,
Freddy
like,
killer?
far
Well, let's
off
look at the
in
mini games
the
again.
beginning,
He has
per
a
se.
long history
And
with
I
the
remember
franchise,
Scott saying,
killing
or like
since it was
tweeting that
Fred
like
Bear Diner. We see him
MatPat did actually
smiling
get
as he
close
watches
to
Foxy perform.
figuring
Phone
out the
Guy's
story
favorite right before
of the
Foxy
second
sees
game.
the room of dead
So,
children. We know that the puppet and the killer wouldn't get along, which would explain Phone Guy's discomfort around a
Dang, yeah, we're
creature that he
watching the
describes as
early vids.
always
Yeah, we're watching the early
thinking.
vids until,
And
like,
here's
this
the
is 97
bombshell.
videos.
We
We're
know the
currently at
killer
number
is a
2.
security guard. How? On
There's gonna be a long one.
Rare occasions during the Save Them minigame, while Freddy chases the puppet, the purple man appears and chases you. Look on his chest. It's an orange badge, the kind that would be given to a security
Then this theory
guard.
became
Now look at his eyes.
dated
Notice the
moment we
white
actually heard
spots.
William
An
speak
odd,
and we found out
seemingly
he's British.
innocuous detail. But now look at Golden Freddy.
Come on, it's not that bad.
Dead, vacant
Come
eyes.
on.
What do you see? Two white.
Come on. It was good for its
Barely
time.
visible. They're there.
When
now
we
finally, what do we see in Purple Guy's
when
hand?
we didn't
Well,
know
the Atari
when we
graphics
didn't
make it
know
tough to
when
discern.
we found
It's not
out,
like any gun or
then
knife I've
then
seen.
it all
Now,
just went
that
wide
to
open.
me, very
It was good
clearly
for its time,
the
okay? It got
robotic
dated, but
voice
it
is
was good for
spelling
its
out
time.
For you. Save them, save them. But when Purple Guy, Phone Guy, catches you, the screen crashes, and all you're left with is you can't. But that's not where it ends, Internet. As you and I both know, there's still Five Nights at Freddy's 1. If this game
I
is
forgot
last
that like the
line, and
difficulty
puppet
gets
is
higher
truly
if you
pulling
get the
strings
stars.
behind all of this,
I forgot about
you might
that
be
feature.
asking yourself where he is in Five Nights 1. We know the other animatronics got scrapped, but this ghostly guy should still be around if this timeline I proposed is correct. And get this, the puppet is in the first game. Take a look at the East hallway. Seems pretty normal, right? But every so often, the posters on the walls change to this.
I don't know if that's
Crying
normal, but I
child
just
with
see
two
Chica.
streaming
I don't think
lines
that's
down his
normal.
face.
Seeing
Look
seeing
familiar?
like a giant
It should.
animatronic
The
just
Five Nights
not
at
in their
Freddy's series
stage.
is about vengeance.
That's normal.
One
I
child,
don't. I think
six
MatPat is a
children,
different normal.
More looking for revenge.
I mean, he was
against a
consumed by
sick
this game, so
child
I
killer.
assume
The
that his
purple
normal is just
guy,
seeing
the
these
guy who
animatronics
just so
day,
happens to be
afternoon,
the first
and night.
voice you hear when turning on these games. Save them. Save them. You can't. But hey, that's just a theory. A game
Hey, rev that
theory.
music bug. Let's
Thanks
go.
for watching.